Hey guys, it's Michael here from the Kummer Homestead and Kathy behind the camera. In today's video we want to do a review of the American Coop by Carolina Coop. That's the first coop that we've gotten. So we're going to give you a tour, show you around, show you some of the features. But before we get started, make sure you subscribe to this channel and you click on the little alert button so you get notified when we publish more videos like this. All right, before we get to the coop, let's talk about the foundation real quick, because before we got the delivery of that coop, we built the foundation. We're a little bit on a slope here, and so what we did is we used some 6x6 pressure treated lumber that's certified for ground contact, and we built a frame. The whole coop is 6x12, and so we just got a pressure treated lumber and built a frame that is also 6x12. We screwed it together with lag screws and we leveled it. So we brought in some dirt, some fill dirt and some topsoil to make sure everything is nice and level. We put some steel rods here at the end to prevent the soil from, or the frame from shifting. And we also stapled what's called a predator apron all around the coop. So it's mesh wire that you will see here in a moment that is sticks out about approximately 2 feet or so, maybe 3 feet. And it's all around here, that frame. And we stapled it against the wood here to make sure that none of the predators can dig underneath. So if you think about it, since it's 2 feet out or 3 feet out and 3 feet on this side, it overlaps here on this side. So here we actually have a double layer of this mesh wire just to make sure that nothing can dig underneath. All right, let's talk about the coop now, starting with the door. We decided to get the Dutch door, which means we can open and close the upper and lower part separately, and that looks like this. So we can open only the top half and throw in, kitchen scraps and stuff for the chicken. It also has the advantage that if you have a dog, we don't, but if we had one, then it would prevent the dog from easily getting into the coop, while the chickens would still be able to come out by simply hopping up here and then, jumping down, or by flying out. And we like the design, and that's the main reason why we decided to go with the Dutch door. Now, on all of our latches, we have these carabiners to prevent any animal with fine motor skills, like raccoons, from opening the latches. Not so much this one, but in particular this one. You can see here with the latches in the close-up that it's very easy to open, and so any animal that has fine motor skills can easily open that latch and get into the coop. And so we have these carabiners on all the latches to prevent that from happening. The other thing we like about this concept here is it has a mechanism that prevents you from getting locked in, because if you're inside of the coop and the door closes, maybe because the wind pushed it shut, then there is a metal wire that goes to the other side. There is a hole in here in the frame, and you can simply pull this to open the latch, and that prevents you from getting locked in. A very smart feature that you probably don't even think about until you get locked in. All right, let's walk around here, and I'm going to show you the second feature that we really like of this coop, and this is that coated dark mesh wire. So it's basically hardware cloth, and it's 1/2 inch. So it's very difficult for animals to stick their paws or anything through, like a cat or a raccoon, because the squares are so small. And the main advantage of having this dark instead of like a shiny metal is that light doesn't reflect, so you can easily see through. It looks nicer, it's less reflective, and it just gives it overall a very nice appearance, and especially with the white paint that we chose for this coop. Another feature that we really like about this coop is the way the egg hatch works, or the opening of the egg hatches to say. Normally, whenever you see a coop, most of the egg hatches open up, and while it seems convenient to just open it up and then grab the eggs, there is actually a potential problem with that, and that is that chickens are used to aerial predators, and so they get scared, or can get scared or startled, if you suddenly open up the egg hatch if they don't expect you. So to prevent that from happening, we have an egg hatch that opens on the front. So you can just fold this down, and then you can access the eggs or the egg hatches right from here. We have 3 right now. We have 16 chickens, but they don't need all their own egg hatch. They might only use 1 in reality. So we'll see how that goes. But we have space on the other side of the coop where we could add another egg hatch if we see that we need more. I don't think so, but we'll see. But that's one of the very cool features, and the lining in here is a special plastic. It's HDP, I think it stands for high density polyethylene, and that's very easy to clean and take out. It's very sturdy, so if they make a mess in there, then we can easily take that out and clean it. We can also remove those dividers if we want to have one big one, or maybe one big one and a smaller one. Very convenient, very flexible, and we like that a lot here. Next, let's talk about ventilation. So we have windows on every side of the henhouse. This is the henhouse, by the way. So I mentioned before, the coop is 12 feet by 6 and the henhouse is 4 by 6. And we have a window that opens up. So instead of having windows that open to the side, this model has one that opens up. And the advantage of that approach is that if it rains, it's not very likely for rain to get into the henhouse, because it opens like so. And the cool thing is we have here wooden dowels. So there are 3 holes in here that you can use to prop open the window, maybe a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit less. We just have it on the first setting here. If you want to close the window altogether, you simply pull that wooden dowel. You can store it in here. There's another drill hole on each side where you can store those dowels and then close them completely. We are here in Georgia, so it's warm most of the year, and so we keep these windows propped open all year round pretty much, maybe except for a few days in winter. All right, so this is the back of our henhouse, and again we have here 2 large windows that open up, and you can also open this guy here to open it all the way up on this side, and then there is a spider web in my hair. And the other window here opens by removing or by pulling down that latch, and then you can open the second window here as well. And that gives you access to the henhouse. This latch here we can open as well, and that's super convenient because it allows you to easily clean out the henhouse. Now we use a deep litter method, so we have hemp bedding, industrial hemp bedding here from Orbit-Chick that we put in here, and we only clean out the henhouse maybe once a year or so. In between, we just stir it up from time to time. That's why we have this little rake here, so we can stir it up a little time, mix it up, unless the hens do it for us, which they typically do. And then once a week or so, we just add a thin layer of hemp bedding on top to cover the poop, and that's pretty much it. So it's very low maintenance. That was actually one of the reasons why we decided to go with the American coop from Carolina Coops, because it offers some of the features like this deep litter system to keep the maintenance low. So that's a pretty cool feature. And then in here, inside of the henhouse, we have 2 roosting bars, and they are 6 feet long, the width of the henhouse. And theoretically, that should give us space for approximately 12 to 14 chickens. Now you want to have roughly 1 foot of roosting space per chicken. And when we decided to get our first flock, we wanted to get 12 chickens. But we figured, maybe 1 or 2 might die since we're inexperienced and, the shipping stress, etc. So we ordered 14. They sent us 17. 1 unfortunately died, but we still have 16. So we'll see how that pans out in terms of space in here. Right now they're I think 10 or 11 weeks old, so they are not fully developed yet. They don't have their final size, so they have plenty of space, and they really like to cuddle up at night. So they maybe use the space of 1 roosting bar right now, but as they grow older, as they grow bigger, we'll see how that goes. I already have a 3rd roosting bar, so if need be, I'll probably rearrange those a little bit, shift them to the back, and add a 3rd roosting bar, so we should have plenty of space. Now the only disadvantage of this whole deep litter system that we've found so far is if there is bedding close here to the edge, and you're trying to close that flap here, then it might get stuck underneath and it doesn't fully close. So from whenever you have too much hemp bedding here on the edge, I just brush it back here a little, and then you can easily close the flap, not a problem. If you look up here, there is a power outlet, and the reason why we decided to add a power outlet, there is actually one here in the henhouse and another one in the run, is that not because of lighting, we don't have any lights in here, but when the chickens, or when they were still chicks at a time, were still young, and we moved them out here. It was still a little cold earlier in the year, and so we added a heating plate from Rent-A-Coop, the same one we used in the brooder. And so we had that here plugged in, and so the chickens could get underneath and stay warm at night, even when the temperatures dropped, and I think they were like in the low 40s during the coldest night. So that's why we have that outlet. We use it for a heater if need be. All right, now we're on the other side of the hen house. We have another window, and here we have space for another egg hatch if we need one. Again, I don't think we will, but if we do, then we're gonna put one here as well. And that leads us to our next feature, and that is a watering system, a gravity-based or gravity-fed watering system. Now, this didn't come with the coop. The one that came with the coop is actually this one over here. If we want to move over here slowly so we can show that barrel. So this is the one that came with the coop, or that we ordered as an add-on, and it's a plastic barrel, and it came with a PVC pipe that had nipples that the chickens would use to drink. And the reason why we replaced this, it's by design a very good system because it allows you to have plenty of water. There is a bucket heater inside that prevents the water from freezing, and that automatically turns on when the temperatures fall below 35 degrees Fahrenheit. And it has a recirculation pump that's attached to the pipe that comes also on when the temperature goes low enough. And so it recirculates the heated water, preventing the water from freezing in the barrel as well as in the pipe. And so an ingenious system that means you don't have to mess with refilling water and making sure the chickens don't make a mess, etc. All of this has been like this for weeks, and we have no maintenance with it whatsoever. The reason why we decided to replace it, and there is another video that I'm going to link to, so watch it if you're interested on how we built it. The reason why we replaced it is because we wanted to get rid of all plastics, because plastics, especially at room temperature or up, so in Georgia heat, leach estrogenic chemicals, so endocrine disrupting chemicals into the water that can not only affect humans when they drink that water, but also animals, because chickens as well have estrogen receptors in their bodies, and so the estrogenic compounds in that water can mess with their endocrine system. And then we as humans eat their meat or eat their eggs, and we get some of that as well, and we didn't want it. So that's why we replaced the whole system with one that's non-plastic, so a wooden barrel, a copper pipe. Again, watch the video if you're interested in how we built it and why in detail. But this is what we use right now. Very easy, low maintenance, no maintenance really, because rain fills it up, or occasionally we might have to fill it up. We might actually add a gutter and a downspout to make sure that it keeps being filled by rainwater. And that's why we also have here a filter system. Again, all in the other videos, so check this out. But the key thing here is we don't have to worry about water, giving water to the chickens. We can leave this for weeks in a row without having to worry about fresh water for our animals. All right, so let's go inside and let's check out how the inside looks like. All right, so on the inside here we have the steps for our chickens to get in and out of the hen house. We have the window that I talked about before. If someone from Carolina Coop watches this video, they might notice that this wall here doesn't look exactly like it should. And the reason for that is we put it in the wrong way. And what I mean by that is the frame of that wall came pre-assembled, and instead of putting it in this way, we accidentally put it in the other way. And so the frame for this window is now also on the other side, which is supposed to be on our side here. So we had to rebuild the frame for that window with a couple of 2x4s, not a biggie. Might not look as pretty as the original, but it does the job. So that was our mistake that we realized. But beyond that, here again, hen house. The chickens have plenty of space to go underneath the hen house, get some extra shade if need be. Our chickens are free ranging, so technically we don't need the run. But it came in handy in the first couple of days when we didn't let them free range yet. So they were confined to the run. And so we were glad that we had a large enough run to accommodate them. They have plenty of space to do their thing, or if there is a very bad weather or whatever the case might be, they have space in here and they are not just confined to the hen house. All right, so in this corner here we have a suspended feeder. It holds 15 pounds of feed. We use soy and corn-free organic feed from Mile 4. That lasts for a couple of days without any issues, especially because they're free ranging. They're actually outside right now, so they get food outside in the pasture, but just as a supplemental feed we have that in here. It's suspended because we don't want them to make a huge mess. I mean, they're making a mess as it is, as chickens do, but at least they don't poop inside, etc. And then here behind the feeder we have another really cool feature that we absolutely appreciate, and that's an automatic chicken door by Chicken Guard. And I realize we probably should have mounted this door on the outside, but it works fairly well here on the inside as well. And the way it works is with this control unit here, it's battery operated, but you can also plug it in via USB, micro USB cable or a USB-A cable, into an outlet. But ours is battery operated, and it automatically closes when the sun goes down, and it opens up when the sun comes up. There is a little photo sensor in here that measures the ambient brightness, I guess, and so it opens and closes automatically. We don't have to do anything. We can't forget to lock it or forget to unlock it. Very convenient, very automated, and so we liked it a lot. If you don't want use the photo sensor, you can also set a predefined time when it opens and closes, or you can use a combination thereof. Very convenient, and again, it's predator safe, and so nobody can, it locks when it's all the way down, so you cannot just push it up because there are fins sticking out here on the side, and we really like that. And so here is the inside parts of our watering system, consisting of that copper pipe that I soldered. Again, watch the video if you are interested in how exactly we built that. Here is the recirculation pump that recirculates the water, and the nipple-based approach here, rather than a regular feeder, is really that they can't mess anything up. They can't make it dirty. They just pack here, and whenever they push that little nipple here, water comes out, as you can see. It's very mess-free and zero maintenance practically. Up here we have our second outlet. Again, the other one is in the hen house, and here we have plugged in the bucket heater, so that cable goes to the outside into the barrel, and this one is connected to the recirculation pump, and this yellow one is a temperature sensitive outlet. So if the temperature falls below 35 degrees, then it activates the circuit here basically, and the pump comes on and starts recirculating the water. And then here we have, which is not plugged in right now, the controller of our electric fence that we are not using at the moment. All right, that wraps it up almost. Let's talk about pricing real quick, because this coop wasn't the least expensive option that we saw. We did a lot of research, much like you watching this video right now. You want to make sure you get the right coop for what you're trying to accomplish. And so our goal with this coop was to have a lot of automation capabilities to enable us to continue traveling with very little assistance from maybe someone who comes once a day or once every other day to look after the chicken, make sure everyone is safe and nobody is hurt. But beyond that, we wanted to make sure we have a run that's big enough in case we have to keep the chickens in for whatever reason. We wanted to have an automatic watering system, which we got. We wanted to have a feeding system that would last for at least a couple of days. We have that here. We also have a step-on feeder that when the chickens step on, it opens the flap and they can feed. It's fairly big, and we haven't used it yet because we didn't have the need. And some of the other capabilities, like the automatic door down here. So all of this was the reason why we decided to go with the American Coop by Carolina Coops. Pricing wise, the base model of this coop I think runs around $3,900, so almost $4,000. It's not cheap, definitely not, but for us it's worth it. We actually paid a little bit more because we opted for the expedited shipping, since we had a timeline. We had already ordered the chickens, and so we needed it by a certain date. And then we did a couple of upgrades. The Dutch door was an upgrade, the black hardware was an upgrade, the automatic chicken door and the watering system. So all of that together, I think we ended up paying slightly more than $5,000. So definitely not cheap, but I think a good investment for what we are looking for, given all the automation features and all the convenience that we're getting with having chickens. And we live in close to Atlanta, so we are not a fully fledged farm. I have a day job. My wife takes care of the kids all day, so we needed something that would help us maintain our lifestyle somewhat while still being able to run our Coomer homestead. And with that said, we're gonna wrap it up. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, let us know in the comments what we could have done better. Until next time.